Right, the next part is to figure out and enter formula to find out the contracted pay per month. So let's sort that out. Contracted pay per month. This is a straightforward one. It's the hourly rate multiplied by how many hours they are meant to work. Okay, so that's straightforward. C3 times D3. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and replicate the formula, get ahead of myself. Overtime hours worked. Overtime hours worked is here. How do we figure that out? I know I've got some columns missing, by the way, so let me just unhide them just so you can, you've got the same sheet in front of you in case you're working on this as we're going along. So overtime hours worked would be how many hours they actually worked, which is the total hours per month actually worked, subtracted, or you subtract from it the contracted monthly hours. Okay, so it's column D we're working with and column J we're working with. So overtime hours worked equals the total hours per month worked minus the contracted hours per month. So J3 minus D3, that's the formula that goes into K3. Press enter, there we go. So for the first person, overtime hours worked is 5, and you can see that this formula has now updated itself. I'm going to go ahead and replicate. And there you go. Okay, that's done. Next, the gross pay. So the gross pay will be, where are we here? So it will be the contracted pay per month plus any overtime. So E3 for the first cell, E3 plus overtime pay, L3. Okay, that makes sense. Overtime pay. Okay, that's done. Next, the tax to be deducted. Now, tax, how do we work that out? Well, okay, I saw something here. There we go. Here's a tax value. Tax value of 20%. Right, okay, so tax to be deducted is 20% of the gross pay. So this will simply be this value, so M3 multiplied by the percentage of that. There we go. So I've got 670 pounds or whatever it will be. So it's M3 multiplied by D tells B7. I'm going to replicate this formula down, so I need to make this absolute. F4, enter, and go ahead and replicate. There we go. That's done. So just double check you got like decimal values, second from end and third from end. Moving on now. Fifth point here for part 2, net pay. So the net pay will simply be the gross pay minus the tax to be deducted. So don't do add, don't get confused. It says deducted, there's a clue there, and it's tax. Tax normally gets taken from you. So gross pay minus tax. There we go. No need to do any kind of absolute cell referencing because it's relative. We want it to actually move down as we are replicating the formula down. And there we go. So just double check your last couple of values, for example, 2370, 1320. Okay, so that part's done. And then you get 2 marks for replicating all functions of formula for all job titles, right? That's all done from before anyway. Okay, lovely. I don't think you're going to get penalized for doing it beforehand anyway. Usually when we're marking your work, it normally just says make sure they've got this value in row number 3 or this formula in row number 3. It doesn't say anything about penalizing you if you've already replicated the formula, so that's all good. Right, moving on. Format the payments worksheet so that currency values show the currency symbol with 2 decimal places. Right. In the past, some of you have just selected all the data and hope for the best. Don't do that. Actually consider what the data is. Pay grade is not a currency value. Neither is, hourly rate is actually, yes, that is. Contracted monthly hours is not. I'm going to hold down Control now on my keyboard so I can select non-adjacent columns. There we go. That is currency value, hours per week, note their hours, total hours per month, note that's again total hours, overtime hours, note, yes, this. Yes to gross pay, yes to tax to be deducted, and yes for net pay. So those 4 columns I'm selecting to actually go ahead and make currency. Okay, oopsie daisies, there we go. Has it vanished? No, it hasn't. There we go. So obviously you can use a shortcut up here in home. I just like to go here, format cells, just to make sure I'm doing it 100% properly, and I got all the options available for me. So currency, 2 decimal places, and let's take this to pounds. So you just got to click this about 5, 6, 7 times. There we go. English pounds, and then click OK. Done. So it should be formatted like that. Lovely. Next part. Headings are wrapped to use space efficiently. Right. So these headings up here, obviously if you try to downsize the cell or the column, the headings kind of disappear here, but it seems to be more sensible use for the actual figure here. What you can actually do is what it said to do, which is wrapping the headings. So for example, if I just take this contracting monthly hours and I just downsize this to maybe up to here. Obviously, it's a problem that, you know, contracting monthly hours, you can't really see the whole heading anymore. But what you can do is simply go up here to wrap text, and that wraps the text for you. So I can do that again a bit further, and there you go. So you can do the same to all the headings that you know you're going to be applying the wrapping to. So I mean, these for sure are going to be wrapped, because look at all this white space on the left side of the figures. That's too much. So let's go ahead and downsize. There you go, contracted pay per month. That's about that much. Hours for week 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to downsize them all together. That's too much. Let's go out a bit. There we go. Hours worked. That's fine. Let's take this down a bit as well, and that. There we go. The others seem all right. Maybe this one actually. Tax to be deducted. Let's sort that out. Here we go. Anything else? No, I think it seems all right. You know, you could like play around with it, whatever, if you think it needs to get sorted. It can go on to 3 lines if you want. Doesn't really matter, not the end of the world. It's fine. Okay, that's fine. I think that's enough. So headings are wrapped to use space efficiently. Done. All data is visible. Double check. Yep, at the moment all is good. The spreadsheet displays row and column headers and the page header and footer when printed. Right, let's go to file and print, just double check. So I can see my header there and I can see my footer there. Yeah, all seems to be all right. If I just go to page 2, there we go, that's all good. Yep, all right, what else? Now it says here, right, save it as task B1, so make sure you save it as task B1. Then it says print the payments worksheet in landscape showing the functions and formula on 2 sides of A4. Right, first let's sort this out then. This needs to be showing function and formula. So go to formulas and then show formulas. Obviously, I feel like I've undone some of my work now. Now it's all gone and spread itself out again. Just go and sort it out. You can just go in. If you want to select multiple cells together, you can, but remember to double click just to make sure all the formulas are showing. So in these cases, we can't downsize the actual column, otherwise you won't be able to see the formulas, but for these you can. This you can make a little bit thinner, the column. This, can we see all of it? There we go. Gross pay can go in a bit. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, the reason why you do that is if you go to print, preview, sometimes the text is so small, you know, if you're asked to fit it onto 1 page or fit it onto 2 pages, it's so small it becomes difficult to read for the examiner. So that's one thing. And another thing is it's just testing to see whether you can actually fit onto however many pages it has asked. Now, as you can see with mine, it's on 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. It wanted it to be 2 pages wide. There's a couple of ways you can do this, okay? First of all, make sure that it is actually in landscape orientation because it has asked you that. Secondly, you can go to scaling and then custom scaling. Normally we have, you know, just fit sheet to 1 page, but in this case it wants it 2 sheets wide. So custom scaling options, fit to 2 sheets wide or 2 pages wide by 1 page tall. Click OK. Right, so there you go, page 1 and page 2 all fit. Sometimes I have done this in the past and I have selected fit by 2 pages wide and 1 page tall, and then it does it, like it looks like it's done it, but then it's still on 3 pages. If that has happened to you, or if that happens to you, then all you need to do is simply go back to your sheet and just downsize a couple more things. That's all. Just downsize a couple more things because it's probably only just 3 pages or just built onto 3 pages, and normally it just sorts itself out. Just saying, because it's happened to me a couple of times and I couldn't understand why it hadn't just fit it onto 2 pages. So there you go, that's done. So that's a formula view, and then that would be printed out. I'm just going to save this as a formula view because, yeah, I'm just using this like for a few examples for a few people. So this is actually, this is task B1, isn't it? B1. I'm just going to save this. You don't have to save it as formula view, but I'm just doing it because I want to. Formula view, let's just double check. Yeah, task B1. Okay, task B1, formula view. There we go. And then that would be printed. And then you also need to save it, or print it rather, as it says there, print the payments worksheet in landscape showing the values on 2 sides of A4. So values are not formulas, it's when you unshow formulas. So you've got to sort this out again and just make sure that it's showing as it needs to show. There we go. Just double check it and make sure you know that you've got efficient use of space happening and all of that. Tax to be deducted can be a little bit less than gross pay. I might actually make it a bit bigger. There we go. Just so there's a little bit of distance. There we go. And then you would go to file and print again. And then here again, yep, this is normal values view. And this is 2 pages, and that's fine. Before I actually go ahead and print, I just want to point out that it didn't actually say anywhere to make sure that the data is easy to read. So when we normally see that, we normally put borders, don't we, around the data so it's easy to read. In this case, I mean, it seems all right. It hasn't asked us to do it. I don't see why it would be a problem if you did do it. So yeah, I would just go ahead and do it, especially when it's got like more than a few rows of data, because it does actually make it easier to read. Anyway, so that's the end of task B1. So that's done. The next task is to do this. Right, so task B2. So Sylvia is negotiating a new contract for pay grade 2. Filter the payments worksheet to show pay grade 2 employees. So filter. You select all the data, not the headings as well, as in not the main heading, the main title, sorry. All the data from the heading, so row 2 and all the way to the last value. And then you can go to data and then just click filter. And once you've done that, you can just go to pay grade 2, or pay grade rather, and then just select 2. And that filters it so you only see pay grade 2. There we go. Right, what else? Insert a column at the end of the spreadsheet and enter a formula to calculate the number of hours overtime worked as a percentage of the number of contracted monthly hours. All right, let's go ahead and just put a cell heading in first, or a column heading in first. So this is the percentage of overtime hours worked. Oops. Percentage of overtime hours worked. Let me just zoom in so you can see what I've done. Percentage of overtime hours worked. Go home. There we go. Just sort that out. And just so you can see when you go here, because I was zoomed out a bit, you couldn't really see. I just unchecked select all, and then I just selected 2 to get only pay grade 2 rows. Okay, so back here, percentage of overtime hours worked. So we know how many overtime hours are worked here. And we know, what have we got? Percentage. So we got contracted monthly hours, 160, and then we've got the total hours per month worked, and then we've got overtime hours worked. So what we need to do is divide this number, or find out what this number is as a percentage of this number. So K7 in this case divided by J7, right? But we need it as a percentage. So let's just go ahead. So this value equals the number of hours worked overtime divided by the total hours worked. So that's why I've got K7 divided by J7. Press enter, then it gives us this value. It obviously is going to need it formatted as percentage. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill handle, then right click, then go to format cells, and I'm going to make sure that this is a nice clean percentage. So percentage, take it down to 0 decimal places, and there we go. So that's what you should have. Up here then the title, I'm just going to stretch it along now so it goes up to P1, not just O1. So you uncheck or unclick merge and center, and then click it again. There we go. So it sorted that out. Right, okay, so that has been done, and then we save the spreadsheet as task B2. Print the payments worksheet showing the functions and formula. Print the payments worksheet showing the value. So again, it hasn't said any changes as in like to make it 2 pages wide or 1 page. Just do it to 2. Which was the last setting saved. Okay, let me just go ahead and save this as task B2. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead and do the last task. I think it's the last task, which is to do like charts and just talk about some absolute cell referencing and stuff.